And this is the Stranger Things is lying to you. Conformity Gate. Okay? Conformity Gate. Now, personally, if you haven't seen the newest season of Stranger Things, if you haven't seen the newest season of Stranger Things, you probably don't want to watch this because it's probably spoilery. But personally, I thought it was kind of a lame ending. I did kind of think it was a lame ending. I thought it was okay. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was okay. I didn't really think it was that great. I think they kind of took out the cop-out answer for the ending. And honestly, like the ending fight was straight from a buh. Because, what do you mean he just fucking died? Like, he just lost. Like, it wasn't even that crazy. Like, nobody died or anything except for him. Well, let's get into it.
Did fans write a better ending to Stranger Things than Stranger Things did?
Probably.
A lot of people seem to think so.
Probably.
So let's talk Conformity Gate and how Netflix has a lot to learn. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the show that is the exotic matter holding the wormhole of your subscription feed open. Go ahead, shoot that subscribe button. Do it, or the whole website's gonna melt. So, after 9 long years, the kids of Hawkins, Indiana have finally grown up, and Netflix's biggest show, Stranger Things, has come to an end. Well, sort of. There are still tons of books and spin-off cartoons and a spiritual successor and a stage play that is shockingly important to the lore of this series. Like, really? I gotta hit up Broadway to get the full picture.
Wait, there's a live play.
The main Stranger Things series and all of its adventures with the Psychic 11 and her friends in the Upside Down is finally over.
I didn't even know that there was a live play.
And personally, I thought the series finale had a lot of good and a lot of not. Do I hate it?
I mean, I do, just not like you guys do.
Yeah, the final fight against Vecna and the Mind Flayer was so rushed, and really, we're in the home dimension of the Demogorgons, and not one is gonna show up in this final fight? Something that was pointed out in the writer's room and dismissed?
There has to be Demogorgon, bat, dog, like something. It's crazy if there's nothing there, I think.
Yeah, it really would be. A lot of the writing was clunky. There's a good reason to believe that some of it was AI assisted or generated, and they went into production without having finished writing the season.
We went into production without having a finished script for the finale.
Wait,
have we learned nothing from Star Wars?
Somehow Palpatine returned.
But all of that being said, though there were a lot of holes that didn't make it logically satisfying, I did find the conclusion emotionally satisfying. Like Game of Thrones Season 8, this was not.
I don't want it.
Like, if we weren't going to have some tragic horror story ending with, like, everyone dying, I was content to see all of these characters get their happy, 80s-inspired ending and ride off into the sunset. And I did legitimately tear up seeing the next generation starting their own D&D game and Mike closing that door to the basement where the whole series started.
That was good.
Honestly, that's where I was ready to leave things with these characters. Maybe we could work out something to predict the next series or figure out what was up with that weird rock, but is there really something to theorize about with this season and these characters, with most of their stories wrapped up nice and neatly in a bow? Well, the internet sure seems to think so. See, ever since the finale, fans of the show started noticing inconsistencies in the
What I didn't like about the ending, but like besides like what I mean by the ending is like what I didn't like about like the whole Elle thing is that why did they take like the fence sitting? Why did they fence sit on the ending of Elle? Why didn't they just fucking kill her or say that she lived? Like, why did they take that, like, if you want to believe it, you can, but it's not what we saw? Like, I don't like what do we like? I don't understand. Like, why did they leave it open ended like that? Like, why didn't they just fucking take a position?
Final episode and the rest of season 5. Things that just didn't quite sit well. Background extras acting weird. Props out of place. Decisions characters making that seem out of character.
I didn't notice any of this.
Fans came to one conclusion. This isn't the real ending to the Stranger Things story, and that idea spread far and wide across the internet. See, one of the big plot lines of this season was the big bad Vecna bringing some of his victims into a fake reality made from recycled memories within his mind, while their bodies in the real world are forced into a sort of trance. We see this with Max, Holly, and several other kids during the season, but according to these fans, our main character Mike was also forced into this trance, and the epilogue epilogue of the show and all of the happy endings never actually happened. And on top of that, Netflix and Stranger Things creators, the Duffer Brothers, have created a secret final episode that will show the true ending for these characters. This theory became known as Conformity Gate, named after the book A Wrinkle in Time, which was an important inspiration for season 5, and honestly, this is one of the biggest and coolest fan theories I've ever seen online. So I want to take a look at it, examine all of the evidence, and see if there's actually any merit to this, or did the fans of Stranger Things write a cooler ending to Stranger Things than Stranger Things
It would be
did?
so
Wipe
cool
that
if this is
nosebleed
true,
off
but
your
it's just
face, loyal
simply
theorists,
not,
as we
right?
head into the Upside Down for my trash take.
It's just
on this
definitely
awesome
not
idea.
true.
Leave your theories in the comments or subreddit. I'll pick my favorite in the next episode of Trash.
Okay, so first things first, what's the evidence for this insane theory that Mike is actually trapped in a trance by Vecna? Well, there's a lot of it, like a surprising amount.
All right, convince
the
me.
big pieces of evidence that really tipped people off that something wasn't quite right here all comes from the epilogue after Vecna's defeat. I mean, the entire section begins with the screen cutting to black before we hear a clock noise. This is quickly revealed to be someone laying bricks, but given that a clock noise like this was used throughout the rest of the series to represent Vecna and the Upside Down, that's incredibly suspicious right off the bat. And adding onto that suspicion is the fact that you can see several boxes for the game What's-It in the background of the Byers house and the basement of the final scene. Mr. What's-It was Vecna's pseudonym while posing as Holly's imaginary friend
Now
during
hold
the
on.
season.
Now hold
Also,
on.
Can I just say that the fact that
They might
were
have
able to
me.
talk between dimensions with walkie-talkies while some characters were in the Upside Down kind of boggled my mind. But hey, I guess you'll do a lot to get around the crappy service and contracts. But if they wanted something easier, they should have gone with the partner for today's theory, Mint Mobile. So if you haven't heard, Mint Mobile is a wireless network that really just cuts to the chase. They don't work with what you
When are you gonna take game suggestions again? I mean, you can always suggest games. You can always suggest games. I will play the games that are not bad. Just because you suggest the game doesn't mean I'm gonna play it, though.
need. So if you've got telepathy,
I'm honestly surprised the theory wasn't right. I mean, we don't know yet. It could be. Maybe they're just waiting.
You and your Demogorgons. But
Maybe
if
they're
you're
just
like
waiting.
Steve and Dustin and talking all the time, get that unlimited data plan, man. Switching is also super easy. You don't need to find a song you love to escape Vecna's mind palace. No. Nancy with? The one that they left behind in the Upside Down and would have been sucked into the interdimensional space when the Upside Down collapsed?
Yeah.
Well, if this was a vision inside of Vecna's mind, he could just use that ring in this happily ever after because he knew about it from that unproposal between Jonathan and Nancy. But the biggest thing during this whole epilogue that just really feels off, the graduation ceremony. Yeah,
Okay.
when the main characters are graduating from high school, things just don't feel right. And the longer you look at it, the weirder it gets. For example, why are there several people in the background holding up signs with absolutely nothing on them? Additionally, why are they wearing orange graduation robes? The robes are described as an ugly green when Nancy graduates in one of the canon novels, and orange sure makes them look more like what prisoners might wear, right? Prisoners inside of Vecna's mind? Next, everyone in the actual graduation is sitting with their hands folded in their laps, in a pose similar to how Henry liked to stand. And there's a history of characters under Vecna's control acting like this. When Billy is controlled by Vecna and the Mind Flayer in Season 3, he also stood with his arms folded in front of him, just like this. Plus, several background characters looked straight at the camera, similar to how Henry often looked at the camera too. And even ignoring all of that, everything in this whole sequence feels just very storybook, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Like it's a comically
I thought
happy
so,
ending.
too.
Dustin gives a big speech that's a screw you to the man, and
Yep.
everyone cheers like it's some cringy Reddit post. He reveals a Hellfire Live shirt, and people cheer. The girl he had a crush on seasons ago flirts with him and asks him to come to a party. But Eddie and the Hellfire Club were so reviled at the beginning of the season that Dustin literally gets the crap beat out of him for wearing this shirt. It's just off. And you know what? For a second, it even seemed like Mike realized it too. During this moment that seems like Mike is having a realization that Eleven might have survived, we hear several large booms. Booms that sound similar to the Mind Flayer walking.
Wait a second.
Is this Mike hearing that through the trance, similar to how Eleven heard Hopper pounding on the tank to communicate with her inside of the vision? Did Vecna put this false hope that Eleven might actually be alive in Mike's head to distract him from those footsteps? So those are the big evidence points from the epilogue, but there are several inconsistencies from the lore of the rest of the show throughout these final few episodes too, both big and small. For example, during the finale...
Okay, here's the thing though. Is this true, or are the Duffer Brothers just shit at writing? Because here's the thing, this is what I think about the Duffer Brothers, right? Is like, how do you go from being so good, specifically in seasons 1, 2, and 3, to like, okay, it's an okay season 4, to an absolute booty butt cheek season 5? You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you so good 1 through 3, then season 4 is like kind of mid, and then season 5 is just booty butt cheeks big galore? You know? Like, I don't understand. So I'm hoping that they're just not absolutely bad, and that they actually have something bigger planned. That would be crazy.
The gang head into the Upside Down so Eleven can use a sensory deprivation tank full of water to enter Vecna's mind with her psychic powers. So what's the problem here? Well, it's been well established throughout the series that water isn't really a thing in the Upside Down. We don't really ever see any lakes or rivers. Pools are empty, and it never even rains despite it storming all the time.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
How is there water in this tank ready to be used?
Wait, that's true.
And according to the theory, these lore inconsistencies are also present during Will's coming out scene, which, first of all, why is everyone gathered for this? Like, for real, why is Murray here? Murray? It's clunky and weird, and might be something that Vecna would plan as a big moment for the group, instead of a smaller human moment between Will, his immediate family, and his closest friends. Anyway, during this sequence, Will mentions getting milkshakes from Melvold's.
We like biking to Melvold's for malted milkshakes.
But the problem here? Melvold's is a general store. Would they really be selling milkshakes at a convenience store like we see in the show? Or...
I mean, maybe, right? Like, in the 1980s, they were doing crazy shit in the 1980s. You know what I'm saying? So I could believe that, realistically. I could believe that. They were doing crazy shit in the 80s.
Is this something from the 50s that Vecna might be remembering from his childhood?
Or the 50s,
After all, they did sell milkshakes at Melvold's, which was a diner at the time, in the play set during Vecna's childhood, unlike what we see in the present day of the show. Within some episodes, there are also inconsistencies with how characters should be feeling. In episode 4, Mike hurts his arm while trying to help the kids escape from the military, and it's enough that he screams out in pain. But this is never really referenced ever again. He's totally fine after this, similar to how Max is able to move and walk again while in Eleven and Vecna's minds, despite her body being too weak to move IRL. Similarly, there are inconsistencies in some props throughout the show. In the radio tower's power generator, the knob in episode 1 is gray, but it's red when they go back to it in episode 9. That might seem like a small mistake, but
that's a crazy mistake.
A big deal out of the color of props being off in major plot points in the show. The way Holly realizes how to get from memory to memory within Vecna's mind is because the center of the roundabout on the playground was a different color in Vecna's mind than it was IRL. Plus, lots of other props and costumes were off in some way, shape, or form. The digital watch that Jonathan was wearing during Will's coming out scene wasn't actually showing any time. And in the final scene of the show, where the main characters are back in the basement playing D&D, the one that's supposed to be an exact recreation of the very first scene of the show, well, the door in Mike's basement is flipped. It's put on the wrong way. And speaking of, Dungeons & Dragons isn't the only game that Stranger Things takes inspiration from, or at least that it uses to foreshadow what's going to happen within the show. All the way back in season 2, we see Max playing Dig Dug, a game about digging tunnels and holes. This ended up foreshadowing how the tunnels were being dug around Hawkins by the monsters of the Upside Down. And, well, in season 5, we see Derek playing a game called Ghosts and Goblins. This is a notoriously difficult old school game, infamous for a trick ending. See, you would defeat the final boss of the game
Wait a second. That
it was all a ruse, and you'd have to play that game again, but harder to get the real ending. So, according to Conformity,
what if there's a season 6?
To truly defeat Vecna and the Mind Flayer.
What if there's a season 6?
Another fight, but one that's hard.
And think about it. Why did the Mind Flayer look so different than the way he had been looking in all of the dreams before? Why did he look like a giant spider this time?
order. Video games and
That's
tabletop
insane.
RPGs aren't the only bits of pop culture we can point to hinting at Conformity Gate either. The song Heroes by David Bowie plays during the end credits of episode 8, but that
Okay.
isn't the first time this song is used in the series.
Right.
A version of
It's a
it
good
played
song.
in season 1 when a fake copy of Will's dead body was found, and a cover of the song played in season 3 in the scene where Hopper appears to die. But both characters were actually alive. The song only plays during scenes meant to mislead the viewer. So is this happy ending not actually real? Similarly, in the final scene, we see a poster for the movie The Thing, a film about an alien pretending to be human and deceiving the protagonists. We know that posters like this can also be used as foreshadowing, since there's a poster in Holly's room for
There's
An
no way
American
all of
Tail,
this is just
a
a
movie about
coincidence.
a young mouse separated from his family, exactly like what happens to Holly here. And if all of this wasn't enough to convince you, there's also some weird meta evidence going on outside of the show itself. For example, Netflix teamed up with Spotify to do radio broadcasts framed as in-universe from the WSQK radio station that Robin runs in the show.
Okay.
During the broadcasts,
Squawk.
the hosts were known as Vance and Mindy Flair,
Who are those people?
anagrams of Vecna and Mind Flayer respectively. And some of the broadcasts had hidden messages, with one of them sounding a lot like Mike, wake up. Really, all of this is enough to make you
I'm gonna be
stop
honest, that
and
one's a stretch.
wonder
That one's a
and
stretch,
go,
deadass. You're at Pilates with that one.
I don't believe in coincidences.
I mean, Henry did promise to Holly and her friends earlier in the season that all of their parents and everyone else from town would be joining them inside of his mind. Maybe he made good on that promise and secretly won, defeating the good guys and taking over the world.
Dang, imagine
and
he
if we left
actually
things
won.
there, honestly, yeah, this theory is really cool. I've been doing this sort of theory crafting for a long time, and this is one of the better supported fan theories I've ever seen on the internet. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of this does kind of go out on a limb when you look at it in a vacuum. There are explanations that you could point to for these evidence points that would hand wave them away. Some examples? Well, firstly, why did Hopper use the same ring that Jonathan had? Well, it could have just been that the production was reusing a prop. Or in universe, maybe
Yeah.
Jonathan picked up the ring off camera and gave it to Hopper as a sort of blessing to marry his mother. Secondly, the milkshakes line at Melvald's during Will's coming out does make sense. As pointed out by fellow theorist Eric Voss of New Rockstars, general stores like this did sell milkshakes and melts and that sort of stuff back in the day, similar to how you can find coffee shops
melts.
like Starbucks and grocery stores
Ooh,
nowadays.
yes.
And finally, props being the wrong color, or the door in the basement being backwards, or there being nothing on the signs at the graduation, well, those could all just be genuine mistakes. If you
Yeah,
go
but
and watch
really,
the One
though,
Last
that
Adventure
many?
making of documentary for season 5, one thing that keeps getting brought up over and over again is just how little time they had to actually make this season. They don't say it outright, but this was likely a result of the writer and actor strikes from a few years back.
Yeah.
They're rushing to write the
I remember
scripts,
that.
to make the sets, to design the makeup, to choreograph the
I
fight sequences.
remember
Honestly, it's a
that.
miracle that things came together as well as they did in the final product. It's just a real testament to the work of the artists making these sets and fights and whatnot. But that also means that maybe a prop got painted the wrong color, or a door got installed the wrong way. And if so much of that came down to the wire, then let me tell you, the same is gonna be true for the visual effects. I mean, we have proof of that in the show itself. There
I
was a
just feel
scene
like
where you
with a
could see
season
Holly
so
wearing
big
clothing
like
made with
this,
the Under Armour logo, a company that wasn't founded until 1996, after Stranger Things takes place.
Damn, I didn't even see
But
that.
that was a mistake and was later edited out. I bet we might see the same sort of thing with the
That's why I
signs of
didn't
the
see it.
graduation, but with content edited onto the signs instead. Now,
That's
I
why
could
I
keep
didn't see
going
that.
on and trying to debunk pieces of this theory bit by bit, but I believe that would be missing the point of the theory entirely, because looking at it as a whole, yeah, sure, it makes
looks pretty good.
sense. If you want to believe Conformity Gate, that the gang failed, that Vecna defeated them and has them all trapped in his hive mind,
would be
living out
so
a perfect
sick.
world while he ravages the real world with the Mind Flayer,
That
that
would be
Mike
so
is the
sick.
vessel making all of this happen, and that there's a secret tragedy behind this happy
would be
ending
so
where all of our
sick.
heroes got to ride off into the sunset? Hell yeah, man, there is more than enough here. Sure, individual pieces of evidence might not be that
That
strong,
would be
but there
so
are just
sick.
so many stacked on top of each other. And as someone who has been theorizing for over a decade, this is how you build these theories. You are not insane for seeing all of this, and honestly, this idea is really cool. Arguably way cooler than the finale we actually got.
I'm
But,
saying.
and this is a big old but, there's a second half to
This is a
Conformity
big
Gate
old
that we
but.
have to talk about too. See, while the belief was that
That
all
is
of
a
this
big old
evidence
but. That's a
pointed
big old
towards
but
Mike
like I
and the
got.
gang being inside of this fake dream world, many proponents of Conformity Gate took things one step further. Not only was the ending we got not real, but Netflix was banking on that, and they planned an entirely new
No
secret
season.
episode that would reveal everything and give us the true ending of this story. And yes, really, a lot of people believed this. At first, the thought was that this secret episode would drop on January 7th because the dice at the end credits was a 7. And hey, Netflix's own social media seemed to lean into that marketing. People found this post made by Netflix in France that just says J7, released all the way back on December 19th. And on Christmas,
Wait, January, February, March, April, May, June, July.
Netflix's Instagram posted this weird, ominous short saying, "Your future is on its way on January 7th. But that day came and went, and nothing. Then the date shifted to January 12th, 2026, when the official making of documentary for season 5
I bet it's
was
July.
set to release.
I bet July
But
we figure
no,
something
that
out.
documentary came out that day, and no secret episode. And now I'm seeing people speculate that it might be in March for one reason or another, and guys, that's just not gonna happen. Yeah, while the theory itself is really cool, it becomes a lot less realistic when we jump from, hey, I think there's a secret story hidden underneath the surface here, to, hey, there's a brand new piece of media that would cost millions of dollars to
I
make
think
that's
that's
gonna
gonna
come
happen.
out validating this theory. But okay, I hear some of you asking, why would a lot of those official Netflix accounts play into this whole idea if it was a whole lot to do about nothing? Why would they be playing with fire like that? And that's
I
a
agree.
valid question. You'd think that with the finale that's been this divisive and with a fan base
I
as
agree.
passionate as the Stranger Things one, you'd want to sort of step back from this and not fan those flames. But, well, do you know what Conformity Gate has been for the show? Free viral advertising. Netflix's marketing team probably saw that people were talking about one of their shows and played into it, keeping the focus
Imagine
on
they
the
just
finale
steal it, though, and
that
just
much
make this,
longer. Every new post or TikTok
they just make
or
their
reel
own
or Reddit
thing?
thread might just be enough to get someone to log back onto Netflix to check out or rewatch Stranger Things. And hey, while you're there, did you see that One Piece is coming back soon? Might as well binge season 1 of that too. Oh, and K-pop Demon Hunters is cleaning up at award shows. Might as well throw that one on too. And hey, you know what? I heard that Frankenstein is pretty solid. I might
That's a
watch
good-ass
that as
movie,
well.
by the
And
way.
all of a sudden, you're watching more and more Netflix. At the end of the day, the entertainment business is just that. a
Damn,
business.
I bought
Now,
into
don't
it.
get me wrong. It also
I got
creates important
scammed.
and meaningful works of art. That's what the creatives should want.
I got
But the companies that
scammed.
fund that art, their main goal is to build
Fuck.
brands and make money. They literally have a
Fuck.
legal responsibility to do everything in their power to ensure that their movies and shows will be profitable. And if that company
actually
is
got
publicly
scammed by
traded,
this
like
guy.
Netflix is, hide that from the people who own your company. And back interviews often for 10 to 12 hours straight, where they have to be on and performing the entire time. And sometimes they let things slip. I mean, Will Byers actor Noah Schnapp even did this himself, accidentally revealing that Hopper was alive in season 4 before that was revealed.
Hopper has a really good story.
And that's without mentioning the people who aren't actors on and off the set. There's also crew, the craft team, editors, animators, the marketing team, translators, the people who make merchandise.
All right, I don't think anything else happens interesting, but that's pretty cool though. That's a good theory. I wish that it was true. I don't think that it is, but I wish.